Hi everyone, this is Matthew Kensel. I'm the author to Juggling the Issues Living with Asperger's Syndrome, and if there's wind interference or sirens in the background or any other noises, then that's just the point, as this video is to serve as another simulation of autism spectrum disorder. So the theme of this video is us hiking around the neighborhood or around a city block over there. So once again, I'm going to be simulating what it may be like just to walk down a street in the neighborhood or somewhere in the city, and what happens when we approach a corner. Now, number one, while I'm taking a leisurely walk around the neighborhood, or even if I have to be somewhere, number one, there's a lot of sensory things going on, from cars to dogs to people walking to car washes to whatever is going on, and at the same time I have to approach a corner and there are cars that are going to have to wait until I cross the street. But to me, I don't want to take up anyone's time, and that's always been very nerve-wracking for me. And it actually evokes a time when my aunt and I were taking a walk around the neighborhood one night recently, and we were crossing the crosswalk, and she noticed that I was speeding up, and my aunt was like, "Hey Matthew, you are the pedestrian, you don't need to speed up." And I'm like, okay, but at the same time, the car that was about to turn had to wait, and I have no idea if that person's impatient or not. Again, it's hard to explain, but there's just something about me that I just don't want to take up people's time, because I know how it feels like when you're in a hurry, and then I don't want them to think, well, I'm holding them up, and then they get mad at me. And see, that's all the things that go on in my brain at that time. At the same time, again, there's a lot of these sensory issues that are going on, a lot of these things that are buzzing in my ears at the same time, and so I have absolutely no control over that. So here, let me give you another example. Here I am approaching this corner back here, and there's cars coming from each direction, and I have to turn left right now, so I have to go that way. And if there's a lot of cars here, then I just get a bit too nervous, a lot of sensory overload, and I just veer off in a different direction and pretend that I'm going in this direction. And yeah, sometimes in the neighborhood I pretend and look lost on purpose because I don't want to take up too many people's time. So there's a lot of people here, and I just find myself coming over here and just waiting, and sometimes I go back, or other times I just cross if there's not a car too far. So here I am approaching a corner, and I see there's a car to my left, and I'm pretending that I'm going this way and kind of pointing this way so that he could go. And then I kind of find myself coming back here, and now I'm crossing this way when I could have crossed. I kind of had every right to cross, but I just don't want people to wait. And now I notice from my periphery that a person's turn signal is on this way, so I'm going to wait for him to go that way, which he is, and then I'm going to come back around and cross once more. And then I quickly cross the street over here right before the person that's going to turn where I was just crossing got to the stop sign and had that inertia tug. I hope that made sense. In other words, if I see a person approaching any of the four corners, approach in such a way where I know that they're going to cut in front of the crosswalk on which I'm in, then if I could tell that they're far enough, I would increase my cadence and quickly speed walk through the crosswalk right before they come to the halt where they feel that inertia tug and everything. Now, when I approach a stoplight like this, it's kind of a bit intimidating. I kind of look at who's turning, and with my luck, there's a person that's turning this way, and he's actually turning that way right now. And then there's another person behind me that's going to be turning the opposite way. Now, when that light turns green up ahead, I do have a legal right to go, but sometimes cars don't see me, or they see me and they think that they could make a turn real quick. In fact, when a person's in a crosswalk, even if they're relatively far away, you still can't turn. And I know that people know the laws, and people are going to probably get a bit frustrated because I'm in the crosswalk, and I don't want them to be frustrated, and all these things go in my head. Also, if it's hard to hear me, then that's also just the point, because all these sounds are also going inside my ears at the same time, and it's very difficult. So I'm here kind of bit running because there's a person. I don't have to run. I could walk because I'm the pedestrian, but I just don't want to take up that person's time back there. And again, there were a few times when I was almost hit while crossing the crosswalk. In fact, last summer on June 14th, I was crossing the crosswalk and an SUV pulled up in front of me. I did have body cam footage of that, so I did put that on YouTube. Another thing real quick is I hiked up East 17th Street many times, and there's a parking lot over there, and you can see that there's a person coming out. On the other side, a person could come and turn in, and then a person could come up this way and turn in that way too. So I just save some stress, and I just go inside the parking lot and take the long way around and exit the other side, just because there's been many times when a person would have to stop for me me. And then again, I don't want them to wait and everything, so I just save some stress and go the long way around. Because if they miss their turn, due to how busy East 17th Street is, they might have to sit there for another minute or two, and I just don't want to carry that responsibility. And then of course it's awkward, because if they're in the middle of turning and they committed, and then they look up and they see that I'm there in the middle of the part where you enter the driveway, then they're going to have to slow down, and then the people are going to come to a screeching halt from the other side. And another example is I'm walking to the corner and I'm seeing that there's a car, or I'm hearing a car approaching, then I could increase or decrease my cadence, and I could decrease it in such a way that by the time it's at the corner back there, the person would have enough time to go. Or if I'm somewhere like right here and the car's like over there, then I will increase my cadence and quickly go across the street and really walk fast, because I do not want whatever car's back there to just have to wait for me, even though I am the pedestrian. Now, approaching one of these corners where there's no stop sign, I look in both directions from afar off, and it's like, when do I cross? If I see a car way out in the distance, I'm like, should I go now? And then if I stop, are they going to think that I'm waiting on them? Or if I go, then they might slow down or think that they have to slow down. So sometimes I just turn right here and I keep on going until the car passes, and then I look again and I wait for another car to pass, however many cars are going to pass, and then I look both ways and cross, and then I'm coming back here. So again, I increased my distance, but it kind of gives me a bit more calmness when I do so. And another thing is, if I'm at a four-way stop and I could go, sometimes I find myself just, looking at my phone or at my watch or so, and just waiting for the traffic to die down, even if I could clearly go forward. And another thing about approaching these corners is I find myself just looking the other way, and I keep on looking this way until that car passes, because if I am looking at them, then they're probably going to think, oh, should I stop? No, there's no stop sign for you. And another thing is that they might get intimidated if I'm staring in that direction, so I'm staring at that direction, and a lot of things just, again, going in my brain at the same time at 100 miles an hour, and then I just cross. And another thing I just remembered, a lot of times I'm just comfortable when there's another pedestrian or bicyclist there, and then we just go at the same time. But that's not always the case. In fact, just now at the neighborhood block back there, there's a person coming this way, perpendicular to my path, and I kind of veered off this way to just walk in the street just a little bit and increase my cadence, just in case 1 in 100 chance that we would bump into each other, then one of us would have to stop. I mean, I would prefer to stop so that I don't take up that pedestrian's time, but still, again, a lot of things just going into my mind. And for another example, let's say I was back there at the 17th Street Promenade or any other place, a strip mall, and I'm walking this way and people are coming into the different stores, coming perpendicularly this way, and I kind of find myself decreasing or increasing my cadence just so that, we don't run into each other. I don't want them to be waiting on me. I know that they need to get inside, whether it's a restaurant or a yogurt place or a store like Target or someplace. And again, I just don't want to take up a person's time, even if it's like 1 or 2 seconds. Because to me, as an autistic, 1 or 2 seconds could be a long time. And this is kind of a bit related to another conundrum or phenomena when, like, for years when I'm just walking around the neighborhood and I look up ahead and there's people or bicyclists or dog walkers, and it's like we have to pass each other. And I believe I tried to describe this in my book. Like, what do we go through? What's in our minds? Like, when we pass by people, how do we do it? Like, do we glance? Do we smile and say hi? And yeah, there's sometimes when I did say hi and they thought I was crazy, but I'm still deciding that might be a video in and of itself. But overall, it's kind of that awkward moment where we have to pass by people, and of course I love being neighborly, I love being friendly, but sometimes I'm just wondering, are they going to think I'm weird? Is it too old-fashioned to be nice? I don't believe that, but in some of my walks throughout the years, that's what I think other people believe. And what ends up happening is I find myself looking down or at my phone or pretending to look at something like a tree or a bird or a plane or something, and then my mind talks back to me thinking, well, what if they thought that I was ignoring them when I did that? It's like, anyway, I'm sure there's many more things that I could say in this video if I think about it, but I just hope that this gives some sort of a simulation and some sort of, hopefully, answers, or just a way to put things into words. I hope that this helped. One last thing, the reason I'm making these videos is to encourage the people who have a disability to not give up and to keep going in their passions and what they're called to do. And the second purpose is to educate the ignorant, the people that just don't yet accept us for who we are, to learn to accept us for who we are, and that these are things that we cannot help. And I'm sorry, just one last quick thing. Once you meet one person with autism doesn't mean that you know everyone with autism. I'm not saying that what I feel and experience can be transcended across all autistics. So I just recommend everyone to just get to know the individual, because we're all individuals, we're all unique. And so anyway, stay safe and have an excellent day.